My name is Ben. I too just crossed the Darien Gap. What I saw on that journey, I will never forget. Between Colombia and Panama lies a stretch of jungle where there's no roads, there's no towns, there's no laws. It's a place that fascinated me since my childhood. It's a place that is, well, full of narco gangs, where terrible things happen to the people that are having to cross it. Robberies, assaults, and some things much worse than that. What I saw on the journey I'm about to tell you about, I will never forget. Yeah, let me begin my story.
Cuidado, bro.
Muy difícil, pero
Poco a poco.
listo morir.
Something just brought home the real danger of this trip for us, and that was a dead body. Not everyone makes it across the Darien. Hopefully we will.
My name is Timmy, and I'm the first Greek who has ever crossed and survived the world's deadliest jungle, the Darien Gap.
Now we're a bit worried, guys, because we're only 7 of us, far away from the other groups, and people are scared, including me, that we might get robbed. Because this is Darien Gap jungle. Anytime you can get robbed from an indigenous community. Nightmare.
Oh, I've been insane. I've never seen anything like it. 10 times worse than I was imagining.
We're stuck here. We need to go after there. Vamos. It's very, very dangerous, guys. Look at this woman. She got injured yesterday. Now she's struggling. We all of us help her, but we cannot help her all the time. Mate, we're destroyed, man. Look how clean our water. Basically, we throw this little pastilla, pill, so the water from the Rio, which is super dirty, they say now it's gonna be clean. They say, supposedly.
You're supposed to wait half an hour, then you can drink it. Let's
Yes.
see.
Vamos a ver.
This is the most stressful night of my life. The mafia guys are checking us, walking around. It's a constant stress. We're literally on the hands of the smugglers. Anytime our identities can be exposed, and then the worst can happen.
Guys, fucking crazy. We just helped 2 kids. We cannot help everyone. Guys, they're 2 kids, man. Let's go help them, man. Fuck, enough filming. Enough filming, fuck. Vamos todos, vamos todos. Vos te quedas en el lado de aquí. Espera.
Ya va, hey. No te asustes, no te asustes.
To me.
Ready?
You okay?
Yeah.
Looking good, mate. Looking good.
Bit stressed, but
Let's do it. Oh, man. You okay?
you stressed?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Where is this jungle and why do people embark on this journey?
The Darien Gap is a stretch of land that separates South America from Central America. And it's been in the news a lot recently over the last couple of years because it's used now as a migrant path for people mostly from Venezuela, but people also from other parts of the world escaping oppression, dictatorships, poverty, mostly poverty. And they're using this stretch of jungle, which has been off limits to people for many, many decades for various reasons. And so now it's very much in the headlines, and that's why myself, personally, I wanted to explore it.
Timmy, when did you first hear about the Darien Gap and why did you decide to go there?
I first heard about Darien Gap maybe 3 years ago when I used to work in London, and I had a Venezuelan friend that his cousin crossed this jungle, and she told me that it's the world's most dangerous jungle, and actually her cousin got kidnapped from the mafia guys. Thankfully, in the end, they let him free. And then again, a year ago, I saw a documentary from a Latino news channel, and I was like, man, I would love to experience it through my own eyes and see how it is and how people feel when they're going through this jungle.
Why is this jungle so dangerous and the whole journey?
There is no towns, no roads, and no laws. It's basically a jungle that is being owned unofficially by the cartels because they use it as a route to move drugs. And also, there's one of the most deadliest snakes and tarantulas are in this jungle. Plus the weather. It's completely unpredictable, super wet, and yeah.
How did you guys meet?
We met through, Timmy wrote to me about a year ago. He had some problems on YouTube, some other country, and he wrote to me and I responded, and then we kind of developed a bit of an online friendship. And then I posted something on Instagram about visiting the Darien, going through the Darien. It always fascinated me. And I would say about 5 days, literally, before we began our journey, he wrote to me and just said, do you want to go to the Darien? Were you serious when you wrote that before? And I said, yeah, I'd really like to do it. And he said, when can you go? And I said, listen, I've got nothing on now, let's do it. And he said, I'm ready. And so that's how we did it. We met up 3 days later on the border with Venezuela and Colombia, and we began our incredible journey together. Yeah, that's how we met, just through contacting each other on Instagram and then deciding to go on this crazy adventure together.
And how did you prepare for the trip?
I mean, I chuckle when you ask that question because there was zero preparation. I watched a few documentaries on YouTube just to get some idea about it, but there was zero preparation. I arrived in Colombia to meet Timmy, having no idea how we were going to do it, if we were going to do it, if it was possible, was it a realistic thing to do, was it, I had no idea. Yeah, I didn't even pack the right clothes. I mean, I went in my Vans, which are totally, I can tell you now, if you're ever going to go through a walk in the jungle, do not wear Vans. Yeah, so there was pretty much zero preparation. We met and we said, let's do it, and we'll just see what happens along the way. And fortunately, the fact that we're here now telling our story, everything went okay. But it could have been very, very different.
So knowing about the danger and watching the documentaries, having a little bit of context about what was it all about, what was your biggest fear about the trip?
We all have a fear of death, a natural instinct to be fearful of death. But for me, it was the way that I could have died, because I knew that if something went wrong on our journey, that there was no one going to come and save me. No one, I didn't even tell anyone, I know Timmy is the same, no one knew we were going there. I didn't want to scare my parents or my friends, so I didn't tell anyone I was going there. So I suppose the biggest fear really was having an accident or an injury inside the jungle and just knowing that no one was going to come and save me. We were on our own, and yeah, we had to somehow find our way out.
Having these fears, what pushed you to do it anyways?
A whole host of reasons. There's no one answer to that. And if I'm honest, ego, wanting to be the first British man to do it. But also, I spent some time in Venezuela earlier in the year and met people who were planning their journey, the migrant route up to North America to build their lives, to improve their lives. And it fascinated me. And I wanted to be a part of that and see that journey and to learn about the journey of the migrants and to understand it somewhat more. Yeah, so I would say the two things, the ego of can I do this, am I capable, am I strong enough, am I brave enough? And yeah, understanding the stories of the other people who did it.
Knowing about the danger of the crossing and having this context of the documentaries and what you have heard from your friend of Venezuelan friends in London, what was your biggest fear about the trip?
My biggest fear before I started the trip, man, I don't know why. I didn't feel scared before the trip. Honestly, I didn't feel any fear before the trip. Because I don't know, I have this naiveness. It's bad, I have this naiveness and I think, oh, it's gonna be fine. Every time I do something, it's gonna be fine. If you trust the people, if you have a smile, you're gonna be okay. So yeah, before starting this trip, I had no fear. But to be honest, I haven't told you this. When Ben agreed to come with me to this trip, I was super excited. Dream came true. I'm gonna make the biggest travel vlogger in the world. But bro, honestly, I felt a bit more stress because if we're two people going through the most dangerous place in the world, I'm like, if something happens to him, then I'll die with him, or something happens, we are together. Or you do the wrong thing, or I do the wrong thing with the mafia guys, then you'll be also in trouble, because we're together. So sometimes we're two people, can be more scary. Did you feel this?
I understand you. And you're right about when there's two people, it changes the dynamic. And my fear grew when I knew I was going with someone else, because I thought to myself, what happens if something happens to the other person? Then you've suddenly got this moral decision to make. Do you leave them? Do you stay with them? Do you save yourself? How do you live with yourself afterwards? Like if you had broken your leg, what would I have done? In fact, the truth is we had this conversation in the tent. One night, it was deep in the jungle, maybe after 3 days. And we were passing many bodies and people who just didn't make it through there, people with injuries asking for help that we didn't help. And we said to each other, we said, listen, if one of us gets injured and can't continue, what are we going to do? And I mean, I think I was the one that said it. And I said, Timmy, I'm sorry, mate, but I'm going to have to go on. Like, I've got family, I've got friends, I've got my life to live. I can't die with you. And we both came to a decision together, correct? That we were like, yeah, if the other one struggles, can't continue, then like as harsh as it is, and you'll try and help them, like maybe from the village, find the military, but there was no chance of doing that in reality. That was just like kind words to like pacify the other person. The reality was that, yeah, the stress of thinking what happens to the other person.
I'm shivering, I'm freezing like crazy. Everything is wet. I sprained my ankle, and one mistake can cost my life here. I was talking with Bolt before. If one of us gets hurt, there's nothing he can do, nothing I can do to help him. There's no laws here. We're in the middle of the jungle, illegally. No one will help you. That's why we saw already 6 bodies, dead bodies.
Okay, bro, that's 100% right. This happened, but that fear to me came later while we were in the jungle. What I said before is like I was scared because you're a vlogger, I'm a vlogger, I'm filming, you filming, we're both reckless, and maybe you film the wrong person, and the guy says, why are you filming? Then we're together. I cannot say, I don't know who's this guy, I'm just a refugee. That was my fear in advance. Maybe I filmed something that I wasn't supposed to film, they come after me, what are you gonna do? I don't know, Timmy, we're together. That was my first fear, and then the thing you said. When I sprained my ankle in the jungle and I was in pain, like Ben said, we had this conversation in the tent and we agreed if tomorrow I sprain my under ankle or I break my leg or he breaks something, mate, he would have to leave me there and I would have to leave him there because we're heavy. Realistically, you could never carry me. And that's the harsh reality of the jungle and I don't want to experience it again. Never.
Okay, Timmy, I understand from the videos that the mafia took you into the Darien. Why so, and where did you find them?
There is no right answer to that. We basically went to Necoclin, which is basically a northeast of Colombia town, and there's lots of people, illegal people, who are actually receiving money from the immigrants, and they are in charge of you. You basically trust some random person who is there and tells you, this is the money you need to pay, I will take you through the jungle. Sometimes it's a scam, sometimes they overprice it, sometimes not, but you gotta trust them. There's no blueprint.
I want to add something about the town of Necoclin, which is the craziest place I have ever been. There's buses arriving from all different towns in Colombia, full of migrants from all over the world, like Nepalese, Vietnamese, Chinese, people from different African countries, people from South America. We met Afghanis, we met Syrians, people from war zones all over the world, all trying to find their way from there, because that's the head of the trail into the Darien. And to answer the question, no one really knows. You arrive there, you get off the bus, and you try and look for someone from the cartel, or they find you normally and ask you if you want to go across, and you try and negotiate and go with someone that you trust, but there's really dodgy guys there and you can't really trust anyone. They're all promising you, yeah, I'll take you this way, it's the safest way, you won't get robbed, you won't get killed, you won't get this or that. But really you're taking a chance. You go then, you've got to trust these guys, you've got to trust someone. And yeah, but that felt really dodgy. That town really, really felt dodgy.
It's like a movie.
Yeah, it was like a movie. It really was like a movie.
So there's something I've got to tell you guys. The guy who arranged this trip, the mafia guy who works for the government somehow, gave me and Timmy a bracelet each. This bracelet is so we can join the other caminantes and be protected by the cartel. If we went through without this bracelet, there's no chance of getting through. So this is what we're paying for, protection from the cartel by having this bracelet.
And why do you have to rely on the cartel, on the mafia?
The Darien Gap is controlled, or at least half the territory, the Colombian part, is controlled by the cartel, the Gulf cartel in fact. And no one enters the Darien because they're using the route not only for migrants, which is massive business, but obviously also to smuggle drugs up from South America. So the cartel control it. And so you can't enter without them. There's no way of going in there. They have points where they're guarding it, they're there with guns, and also they're there to protect you. You pay them for a service. They pay you, you pay them, they give you a little wristband, a little piece of paper that you put around your wrist, and that gives you protection up to the frontier with Panama. The problem is, people think that the cartel is the most dangerous part of the Darien Gap. It's not. The most dangerous part of the Darien Gap is when the cartel leave you, and now you're alone, because the dangerous people in the Darien Gap are the indigenous people, the people who live in the jungle, because they see these thousands of people passing through each year, and it's like, okay, we know these people have money, we know these people have phones, we know these people have passports, let's rob them. Let's do other horrible things to these people, because if you don't give them what they want, and we heard these stories so many times, people from our group as well, they can kill you. To women, they do horrific assaults. I don't even want to go into what we heard in the camp. They'll do terrible things to you if you don't give them what you want. Kidnapping, that was one of the major fears that we had. Once the cartel leave you, many people were kidnapped and held for ransom, had to sell their houses, had to sell their businesses back in Venezuela, back in other countries to pay them. The cartel are the least scary part of being in the Darien, for sure.
Violaron a la mujer del hombre y el hombre se puso rabia.
Se puso bravo. Estaba viendo cómo estaban violando a una mujer, yo me imagino.
Enfrente de él.
Al frente de él, así. Y estaban violándola y el tipo, yo creo que tanta impotencia, tanta broma le dio, fue por... Y la agarraron. ¡Pam! Ahí le metieron. Los haitianos mataron a una familia de haitianos por no saber hablar. Nosotros cuando pasamos lo que íbamos a puro muerte, puro muerte, puro muerte. Estaba una niña así y la mamá así. En posición fetal en una piedra así, y la mamá estaba así también. Violan mujeres, violan. Yo digo que eso es una ruleta. Eso es una ruleta así.
So, to prepare, knowing all this, to prepare, I understand that you guys wanted to pass as Russians, right? Wanted to look like Russians. Why that? Why did you tell the cartel that you were Russians?
Would you like to answer this, or shall I?
Oh, for the reason Ben just said, kidnapping. Ben is a British man, British passport, strong passport. Me, I'm Greek, poor country, but still is Europe. So in case either the cartel or the indigenous people were finding our passports, would be over. So we had to come up with something that will be believable that we're escaping our countries and we're gonna go to USA. So because we don't look Latinos, we don't speak perfect Spanish, Ben thought, yeah, let's be Russians that we're escaping the war. So that's the main idea, and worked out well.
Slava Bogu.
So how can you pass as a Russian? I mean, what was the strategy and what were you thinking would work?
We decided to go for Russian. Many years ago, I developed a fascination for Russia, learned the language, traveled there many times. And so it was just for me, the natural choice, because I thought, if by any chance there's another Russian in the group, at least I can pass myself off as a Russian by talking Russian. Yeah, so that's why Russian just came to my head, obviously my strong connection to Russia. And I mean, there's a slight connection between Russia and Greece, right? Also in terms of language, religion, things like this. So it kind of made sense. And the way we did it was just basically by every now and then, although we spoke English together most of the time to communicate, I would throw in a few words of Russian, or when I fell over or twisted my ankle, I would swear in Russian, just to try and give a slight impression. I didn't do a very good job at it, to be honest, because you default to your natural language. But yeah, I would just try and do things in a Russian way, kind of thing. Or I'd say, bloody Putin, just to try and like let them hear that word. Or I would say, I'm a long way from Moscow, and let them hear the word, just to give like a slight impression to the people around them, because they did suspect at times that we weren't who we said we were. We were the only people filming. And so I don't know if saying we were Russian saved our lives, but maybe it helped us along on the journey, made it slightly smoother than it would have been otherwise.
Ben, how you feel, man?
Huh?
How you feel?
Yeah, I feel... я не знаю, что говорить, но все хорошо.
What was the scariest moment you experienced?
Oh, mate. So, day 2, inside the Darien, we keep walking, still with a cartel. It was like cartel in front, cartel in the back of the group, and cartel in the middle. All people armed, machetes, crazy. And at some point, we made a little stop for water. And Mia decided, let's make a little video here, literally for 2 seconds. So I'm pulling out my phone, make a little B-roll, and I hear a voice, still stuck with me like a trauma. Russo! Russo! Come here, venaka! I'm freezing cold, what the fuck? There's a mafia guy with a scar, like a movie, with a scar in his face, probably a machete or something attack, telling me to come closer to him. So I go there, trying to pretend I'm confident, I wasn't. So I go there, and the guy says, who are you? I says, I'm Russian. Why you are here? I'm like, I'm escaping the war. So why don't you fly directly from Russia to Mexico? Why do you have to go through Darien Gap? What's your reason? You're in Europe. You're not a Venezuelano, you're not an Afghani. And me, I freeze cold. I didn't know what to say. I was just staring at him saying, Putin, Putin, I cannot go, escaping the war. And all of a sudden, like YouTube magic, a Venezuelan guy who's a bit crazy, I knew from the day before, came angrily to this mafia guy saying, why are you shouting? Why are you shouting? You don't know what Putin is? He's a dictator. Why you think they're escaping the war? Of course he has to go through Darien Gap. And then this guy, the mafia guy, like, okay, whatever. And then me, immediately I left. And from that time until the next day, so for the next 24 hours, every step I was doing, I was feeling scared. Because after that, after I left, the guy said to the other mafia guys, ojo a los rusos, which means eye to the Russian guys. They marked us. So I was thinking, it's over. Ben was clueless, all good, nice Darien Gap. So I felt so scared, so scared. That was my scariest moment of the whole trip, personally.
So Ben, what was your scariest moment?
Yeah, Timmy had more scary moments than me, I think, just because he speaks Spanish much better than me. So I was so oblivious to much of the stuff that was going on. Just to return to Timmy's point, the scary thing was about them keeping an eye on us and with us faking being Russian. The dangerous thing was, in our bags, we had our passports, British, Greek. So they can demand to open your bag at any time. And if they'd opened our bags, and wait there, these 2 Russian guys got a British passport, they got a Greek passport, I don't know how we would have talked our way out of that. So I can understand Timmy's fear with that. For me, my scariest moment, we were warned constantly about indigenous people, that the people who are going to rob you, the people that are going to kill you, kidnap you, do whatever else you, are the indigenous people. And indigenous people in the Darien, they have their own language. And one morning about 3 o'clock, pitch black, I'm lying in the tent in my underpants, feeling vulnerable. I'm in the middle of the jungle. I have no idea where I am, how many more days I've got to go. Suddenly this group of people, of men, came and arrived, and they were setting up tents next to us, and they were speaking a language that sounded so prehistoric and old and just, I didn't recognize it, and I started freaking out. And I was half outside the tent because we had a small child's tent, so I was too big to have my legs inside the tent. And these people were there next to us, and they were blah, 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 in this strange language I'd never heard before. And I said to Timmy, zip the tent up, hide our faces, hide the fact that we're gringos, that we've got white skin. I was terrified. And only, because I thought we were going to get robbed or something was going to happen, something really bad. And then, as I listened more and I calmed down, I started to calm myself down, I started to recognize some parts of the words. And the words were a little bit like Indian. And words that I recognized, I spent time in India in the past. It turned out they were Nepalese migrants. There was about 50 of them, Nepalese migrants. They were all talking together in this jumble of words that I didn't understand. But I was like, immediately I calmed down. And I was like, oh, thank God, these are just other migrants like us. They're not the indigenous. But that moment for maybe 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes was absolutely terrifying. By far the scariest moment, definitely the Darien, and quite possibly of my entire life.
You mentioned the passport. What else did you take with you?
I mean, listen, zero preparation. Took my backpack. I took a change of underwear, a change of socks. We took hardly any food. There was this one guy we met in the bus station in Medellin before we went. And we met him again in Neococlí, the town with all the migrants. And in the morning, when we told him we were going to cross the Darien, so we said, okay, you need to buy some food. We never even thought of the concept that we needed to buy food. We had no tent. We had no sleeping bag. We had nothing. And so he took us to the shop like children. Okay, you need to buy tuna. You need to buy crackers. So we bought food, but we only bought enough for 2 days because the guides, the cartel, lied to us and said, it's a 2-day journey. And we went to the tent shop. He said, you have to have a tent. We were thinking, we'll just sleep outside the jungle, or they'll set up, it's like some kind of holiday. They'll set up tents for us. There'll be places to get food and stuff. Just totally unprepared, like reckless. And so we bought a tent, but it was a one-man tent. And they said, are you sure you want a one-man tent? Because we have 2-man tents, and it was an extra $12 for a 2-man tent. $9. And me, being as tight as I am, said, no, Timmy, we'll be all right. It's only 2 days. We'll squeeze into this tent. So basically we had food for 2 days, we had a tent that was too small for us, we had nothing else that we could use that would service us in the jungle. We were so unprepared, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that we managed to go into the Darien and come out of it in one piece. Because if something had gone wrong, we had no medicine, we had nothing. So yeah, what else did we take with us? Nothing but yeah, just a change of underpants and a change of socks and a little bit of tuna.
Tell us about, as a YouTuber, what did you bring to film and just what you wrote, and then Tim is going to respond the same question. Like, to film, as a YouTuber, to cover this journey, what did you take with you?
I brought with me for the journey everything that I always bring on a journey, which can be fit into a little box this big, which is a very small Sony camera. It's about that big. It's like a GoPro, I suppose most people would know. Some batteries, and I had my telephone. I realized almost immediately I couldn't use my little Sony because it would make me stand out as being something different than a Russian escaping the war. So I filmed the entire journey from when we got into the jungle and met the cartel for the first time. I filmed everything on my telephone. Yeah, fortunately I had a power bank so I could charge my phone. But that's all I brought as a YouTuber. That's all I ever bring as a YouTuber. So the bare minimum required to film a video.
Okay, so everything Ben said is absolutely true. We are completely reckless. I would say even idiots. Idiots, not even think about the worst case scenario, nothing. So yeah, we went with barely no food, a little bit of water, and I want to say here a story. I don't know if you remember this, you might remember it. Guys, I don't know, day 4 or 5, I don't remember, I think day 4 was it? I had no water, 0 water, you had no water, our Venezuelan friends also had no water, and at some point we found this couple. They weren't walking, they were just standing there, and the husband said to me and to my friends, do you guys have some water for my wife? She feels terrible. And I personally had no water, so we all said no. And then we found out, once we went to the camp, that this lady never made it, passed away. And the reason wasn't because she didn't have water, the reason was because she drank water from the river. And the river in Darien jungle is super contaminated because of the trash and the dead bodies. So you cannot drink this water. She did because she was desperate and she passed away. That was a crazy story. You remember it?
Yeah, very well, very well.
Yeah.
That's the only water I have. Nothing else. And we have no food. Zero food. Just water. This guy, amigos, is from Haiti, who lost daughter, mother, and sister. And he has probably the saddest story I've ever heard of Darien.
Man, to be honest, bro, we were less prepared than the poorest immigrant. And that's not a joke, because we spoke with many immigrants, and all of them, they have friends that are doing this trip, they're watching TikToks. I personally even lied to Ben. I tell Ben in advance, hey bro, I've made my research, I know the route how to go Darien Gap. Guys, I had no clue, I just want to convince him. So that's true. So guys, we were unprepared completely. And yeah.
Yeah, this is, I don't know, maybe because you see a professionally edited video, semi-professionally edited video at the end, you kind of presume that everything was prepared, we have all these cameras and all this kind of stuff, but honestly, hardly anything. Didn't even think about bringing a waterproof bag for the camera or for the batteries. Just zero preparation, as Timmy has said numerous times, totally reckless. Totally unprepared, just took it as an adventure as much as anything. But yeah, somehow we made it through, but we didn't really deserve to. And as Timmy also said, we were the least prepared people. People couldn't believe it. When they saw my shoes, they saw me in Vans. They're like, why didn't you wear hiking boots? We're all in hiking boots, we're in Wellington boots for the water. And we didn't have mosquito repellent, we didn't have sun cream, nothing. It's so stupid what we did. And I hope, if anyone else makes the stupid decision to do something like we did, and I don't recommend it in the slightest, I really think what we did was stupid and reckless, but if ever you do, plan it, prepare for it, and yeah, get yourself safely across, because we made it across by the skin of our teeth, really. We didn't deserve to make it across in any way whatsoever.
What did you learn from the immigrants that are crossing the Darien jungle?
What did I learn? Oh man, you know what I learned? I learned how a parent can love their child. I've never seen anything like it. A lot of people criticize the migrants for bringing their children through the jungle. They say, how can you take your child through such a place? But the love that I saw, the care that I saw an Afghan man carrying this baby for 4 days. We were with him for 4 days, climbing up rocky slopes, protecting this baby. The baby must have been about 8 months old, something like this. And just to see the love and the dedication to their kids to get them safely through this journey that was inspirational. That was something that really made me emotional when I saw that, because I was there kind of, I didn't have to be there. I was doing it in part, just a challenge to myself, but to see how they wanted to make this journey for their families. That's what I learned, what it is to love a child, what it is to love your family and to do anything and to get them. And it was the men who were protecting the families mainly. Yeah, that was inspirational. That taught me a lot.
It's so nice to bump into people that we met on the road, because some of them we thought might not make it, but we made connections on the journey, different people that we just helped out maybe for an hour or 2 or 3, sometimes for a whole day. And to see them here, that they made it, is just amazing. And yeah, fills you with, fills you with emotion.
By seeing immigrants putting themselves through this journey, what did you learn from them? What did you understand about this situation, their situation?
That's a good one, man. I don't know how to explain it, but I realized that desperation sometimes in life can be the biggest strength. Meaning that these people had nothing else to do. They had no plan B, only one goal, to go to USA. They have nothing back home, so they will do everything in order to go to USA. And that makes them extremely strong and also faithful. All of them, they had faith. Every time we're asking about them, are you scared? Are you scared? Are you worried? No. Dios primero, Dios primero, Dios primero. They have this faith that God will help them go through Darien, go through immigration in Mexico, and they will make it. And I think if you're not that desperate, you can never be as strong as you can. I don't know if you understand. I don't know. Do I say it right?
Yeah, perfect.
Does it make sense? When you have nothing, you can do things that you would have never imagined if you had many things in life. That's what I realized. And I have so much respect for these people. And like Ben said, the love for the families that they have, it's insane. And even the babies. I never hear a baby crying. Never. Like you see in the Western world countries, a baby didn't get an ice cream. We never saw a kid crying in the Darien Gap for 5 days. Never. All of them quietly keep walking, and with no food, no water. And they still made it. And that was insane to witness it in real life.
How did you feel when you completed the journey?
Oh, I mean, the overwhelming feeling when you finish that journey is one of relief. And it wasn't a sense of satisfaction, I've done it. No, not at all. It was more, I need food, I need water, I need to change my shoes. It was just physical things. Your body is destroyed after it. You're walking through rivers for days. My toenails fell off. Timmy sprained his ankles. You're exhausted. I mean, I aged probably 10 years. I look at the video from the end of the trip, from the beginning of the trip. I'm like an old man. I lost about 10 kilos in weight. For me, it was just relief to finally sit down, to rest, to have some food inside my belly, to drink some fresh, clean water, to have like things that you take for granted at home, a Coke. You know, just have a tin of Coke, because it tasted so good. I can't describe when we discovered this shop in this village and I had the first Coke. It was amazing. I was dreaming of a cheeseburger for the entire journey. Just when will I see a McDonald's? I didn't see a McDonald's for a long time afterwards, but just when I got to that village and I got that food inside of me, it was just like, relief, just relief. Not relief that I was alive even. I was too tired to care about that. Just relief that finally, like, I could rest and it was over. And I could just, I could start to rebuild myself from the journey.
How did you feel when you completed it?
Oh, mate, relief. The moment I entered to the first little indigenous village, ran into the first shop, por favor, señor, gatorade, which is Gatorade. I remember grabbing this Gatorade, lemon, I still remember the flavor, and I chunked it in seconds. And I had a second one. The third one I gave it to a caminante. So yeah, but there was no you don't think anything, you just feel relief. I'm alive, I made it. That's basically it.
Okay, what is the one memory you remember forever from the journey?
Oh man, that's a terrible one, guys. As we said, in the Darien Gap, many people eventually don't make it because they die. And they die from different reasons. They can die usually from the river, because the river is very strong and people don't know how to swim, they get stressed and they get drowned. And many times people get shot from the indigenous. And that's why they die. And I personally saw 9, 10 or 11 bodies literally on my way, including a mother and a child. That was the worst one. I will never forget that. Because the bodies were fresh, and I could still see they were Chinese, little baby. That's even now talking about it feels weird, because it's something that I saw, like the movies, and it was terrible. Ben will tell you things he saw as well.
So obviously, I remember the bodies as well, just the death. I tell you, unless you've smelt a dead body, you don't know what stink is. It's unbelievable. You smell death before you see death, a long way off. You're walking through and you start to smell it, get stronger and stronger, and you see people up ahead, they're pointing in the bushes, they're pointing in the river, because you know, okay, there's a body or there's 2 bodies. I saw 3 bodies together just washed up on the shore. But that isn't what sticks with me the most. I met a young Venezuelan girl, she was called Claudia, probably 9 or 10, and she was terrified of water. And the thing is, in the Darien, it's traversed by many different rivers, and you have to cross these rivers. And she was terrified of water, and some of the rivers were really deep. And every time she came to a river, she held her mum's hand, but she'd always shout out, "Russo, Russo," because everyone was calling us Russo on the trip. And she'd say, "Russo, Russo, por favor." And then I'd run up ahead, like in the trail of people, and I'd take her hand with her mum, and we'd wade through the river. Sometimes I'd put her on my shoulder if it was too deep. And yeah, she was such a sweet little girl. And I just remember her, the fear that she had of the water, and just calling out my name as if like I was some kind of, I don't know, I felt like some kind of hero, to be honest. Just because each time, yeah, like she just relied on me so much and carried her across. And then we didn't see her for a few days in the trail, didn't see her. And we found her in a refugee camp at the end of the trip. And it was such an emotional meeting again. Yeah, just to see her, that she'd made it and she'd gotten over her fears of crossing the rivers, and she made it, and she was going to continue her journey up to North America. Yeah, that's that person, that little girl, Claudia, is the person and the thing and the memory that I take away from my trip across the Darien.
Let's end with a positive note. Maybe.
Yeah, let's end on a positive one.
And it's about you guys.
Oh, nice.
What is your friendship like with each other after the journey?
Listen, you know, I'll be honest with you, like if you're 60 days with someone, especially in a stressful environment, you would think there would be arguments and stuff and falling out, and we've been together for the last 60 days and 5 very, very difficult days in the Darien. I can tell you the truth. I've never had an argument, we've never had a falling out in any way whatsoever. Timmy is one of the most genuine guys I've met, and he's taught me things, Timmy, although he's younger than me. He's taught me how to be a bit of a better human being, because I saw him do things in the jungle that I didn't do. He carried many more children than I did. He helped many more people than I did. I realised I'm a much more selfish person than Timmy. I was thinking more about myself. And I think and I hope that our friendship... Why are you laughing? It's true what I'm saying. I think our friendship will continue. And Tim, I'm always happy, always willing to meet up in the future and do a trip. It'll be a pleasure, mate, to do a trip with you.
But an easier one, por favor.
That's fácil.
And Timmy, what is your friendship like with each other after the journey?
First of all, I've never heard Ben saying such things about me. Bro, listen, for me, before I started YouTube, my travel vlogs, I literally watched 5 minutes of Bold and Bankrupt, who is the #1 travel vlogger in the world, in my opinion, and he inspired me to start doing these videos. So if one of you likes my videos, it's because of Señor Calvo. So I'm glad I met him. He's an amazing human being. He's even funnier and more humble and more fun in real life than in his videos. I consider him as a friend, but he lied. We had an argument, a big one argument. I think it was day 4 in the jungle, and me, I was just doing my own thing, listening to reggaeton. We just stopped our trekking. We had no food, we had no water, and Ben, on his own, started setting up the tent. Me, lazy, smoking cigarette, listening to reggaeton, making noises, while everyone is tired and destroyed from Darien jungle. Ben setting up the tent, built the tent on his own, me doing nothing, and then I decided to stand up. And I step on the tent, and the tent almost breaks. And this is where the breakdown of Ben came out. He said, "For fuck's sake, Timmy!" Out of nowhere, from 0 to 100. Me, not saying nothing, because I know I fucked it up. And there was a silence in the environment. None of the Venezuelans spoke, and they started laughing, because they saw the Russian guy screaming to me. And then me, I started laughing, he started laughing. So I think that was our one breakdown, no?
Okay, yeah. Agreed. The only one.
What do you like and what you dislike about Ben's personality?
Oh.
Go easy, Tim. Go easy.
Man, Ben's personality, I love his humility, guys. He's super humble and super generous. Even at the video you saw from Darien, he gave me many of his shots, B-rolls. There is almost zero unhealthy competition vibe between us, only healthy competition that helps me improve and helps him crushing me. Yeah, amazing human being, honestly. I don't like praising him in front of me. If I do a video on my own, I will tell you more things about him, but next to him, no. And to play a bit tougher. Now, what I dislike about him, easy to say. In real life, he's amazing until he gets slightly sick. If Ben starts sneezing, he thinks, I'm dying, that's it. I got yellow fever, I need to fly back to UK. So that, for me, that was hilarious to see. It's not even annoying, I'm joking, it's not annoying, but that's his little, annoying thing. He's overthinking that he's gonna die because he lost a toe, or he got a little bit sick. So yeah, it's not annoying, it's just funny to me. But yeah, nothing bad to say about Ben so far. But I only know him for 60 days, so we don't know. Now, what do you think about me? We both know the answer, what's the worst thing about me. But better if he says it.
I've waited a long
You
time.
lost a toenail, not a toe, right?
Yeah. There's only one thing that, if I'm honest, about Timmy that I would tone down in his personality, and that is I've never met a person who talks as much as Timmy Carter. He does not stop. As soon as he wakes up, it's non-stop talking. And you know, you're exhausted in the jungle, your toenails are falling off, you've got no water inside of you, you're seeing death everywhere and you're terrified. And there's Timmy talking about reggaeton non-stop and you're like, oh my God, please.
Totally agree, Ben.
Exactly, thank you. You've only known him a few minutes and you already know. Yeah, he's a chatterbox, let's say that, he's a chatterbox.
I agree.
Let's finish, it's the end.
Yeah.
Let's finish with a question to Dan, okay?
I didn't praise him enough, like he did.
Chill. I look fucking nice, humble.
You said it was a
I know you know what
start YouTube.
Yeah, that's true. You said that. You said I was. You said I'm the greatest travel vlogger, so that's good enough.
In the world.
I'll take that. In the world. Yeah, I'll take that. I'd be interested to throw the question back at you if I can, or the audience. What you thought of Timmy, because sometimes the audience can be, they take people in different ways. So I'd like to ask you, would you like to see me travel with Timmy Carter once again, or was once enough? I don't know. Maybe you can leave a comment and tell us. Well, mate, I think that is the end of the entire adventure. Been emotional.
Finito la música, pasato la fiesta.
Okay, let's get out of here.
Mate, why are you fucking lying?
Now what?
You hate me, you don't like me.
Yeah, you're a prick, but
You look fucking humble in the video.
yeah, on the film, I've got to make myself look good. All right, mate. Hey,
Fuck, man, that was the last video we ever made together.
100%, mate. Take care of yourself.
My hat as well.
That was terrible.
Yeah,
That was terrible.
Perreo intenso. Perreo. Ah, escucha. Peligrosa, de na. ¿Tú like reggaeton?
Me amo el reggaetón.
On camera, off the camera. Cut this shit.
Hey, me gusta el reggaetón. ¿Qué tú piensas? El nombre, a pensar,
Así es.
malandro, siempre. Vamos, chamos.
Now, can officially guys say we've made it. Darien Jungle, Panama, Nightmare Experience, it's over. Lo logramos, cabrón.
This is the worst night of my life, and I've had some bad bus rides in my life. Nothing as bad as this.
Terrible, man. But with flow, always.
Él es culpable, me la comí. Él es pillado, me lo conocí.
Encontramos la colombiana.
Oh! I've been robbed by some kids. Oh my God.
Se está poniendo.
Oh, what are you doing? Oh, what are you doing?